Welcome to the PSR YouTube channel. Hey, I love YouTube. YouTube's awesome. It's awesome. You should become a YouTube creator. Totally. This video will get monetized. Yes.
Whoa, yeah. We're having lots of family fun now. Whoa, yeah. None of these are real guns now. Whoa, yeah. Also got a Patreon, the link is in description. Got some merch too, yeah, you know you wanna get some.
Thank you for being patient. I think we've stroked the algorithm enough for today. The video starts in 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to yet another episode of PSR. We are here today, and it is glorious because we're just connecting on the internet through this screen. Boy, it's just beautiful. And I'm a human. I'm not a robot. I'm not an AI yet. We'll see if that changes anytime soon. Today, we are talking about Finnish Brutality, my very first ever shooting competition experience. Boy, did I send it into quite a situation. The Finns definitely know how to get down. But before we get into it, I gotta thank the channel sponsor for PSR, and that is KAK, sometimes referred to as KAK. You could call it KAK, you could call it KAK. It's even translated as something else in the captions. Don't turn on the captions if you want to know that. High quality AR parts and more, and they're cranking out parts in their new facility in Albany, Missouri. American made, baby. Gotta love it. If you want to get 10% off your order from KAK Industry, I would absolutely never, ever, ever use the code PSR for 10% off. Don't do it. Wouldn't recommend it at all. So thank you to KAK for sponsoring this channel. One more thing before we get started. Check this chest rig out. Holy smokes. This is a Finnish M05 PCC mag chest rig, and it is absolutely beautiful in my opinion. This is the Finnish military camo pattern, and it's one of my favorite camo patterns. One thing, Moonlight Industries, who makes the chest rig, they take pride in everything being made in the USA and everything materials sourced in the USA. The fabric used for the camouflage is from Europe because it's M05, and that's where we had to get it from. If you're interested in the rig, check the link in the description. All right, so what is Finnish Brutality exactly? Well, it is a very physical shooting competition. This is not like a USPSA match or anything like that. It is a brutality match, and with brutality comes just that, a little bit of brutality. And what does brutality look like? Well, it is held once a year in Finland. There are other brutality matches here in the US. Finnish Brutality has its own kind of vibe to it. It is organized by Varusteleka. They are a Finnish surplus and outdoor gear company. You've seen me wear a bunch of their gear on this channel before. All of my Finnish camo comes from them. I was buying their gear before they ever even reached out or said what up or started following me or anything like that. So they are the ones that organize and run this event. They invited me to come take part in it this year, so I felt super lucky. So what makes Finnish Brutality a little different than other shooting matches or competitions is there's a lot of physical tasks that you've got to do and you've got to complete while you run the course and shoot targets, and there's a little bit more kind of creativity that goes into it, I think, and it makes it more fun and in some ways more realistic for kind of training, let's say in like a defensive situation or a combat situation where you're doing something where you're under stress, a little bit more stress than you would be if you're just kind of shooting paper targets, even though that is definitely stressful in some ways. You know, your heart rate's still going in that, but this is a bit different when you're, you know, taking sandbags and throwing them up into an armored vehicle and then getting prone and just getting dirty. It's a little bit of a struggle while you're shooting. So it kind of incorporates this very physical aspect of competition shooting. So like I said, this was my very first time ever doing any kind of shooting competition. So I kind of threw myself into the deep end of a very physical form of that, which I was all game for. So there are different divisions and different categories where you can compete from. So there's open division, which means you can run kind of whatever you want. There's armored division, which means you have to carry armor and a certain amount of weight with you. There is a cosplay division, which is kind of cool. And there are a couple other divisions. I was in armored division. I wanted to be in armored division. It's kind of the standard for what like Finnish reservists would be required to carry. So you have to carry at least 1 liter of water, plate carrier, IFAK. You have to carry a knife on your belt, your pistol, holstered, and your rifle, of course. I thought that was a good place to be. And in addition to that, I put myself through even more pain and suffering by joining the breacher category. The breacher category is kind of a new subdivision that they added this year. Last year it was recon, which involved a lot of running. Thankfully that didn't translate to this year, where breacher was more kind of like brutal, tough physical exercise between each of the stages. So the stages are already quite physically taxing, but we had to do additional physical exercises in between the stages. So after we ran the stage, it was instantly walk over to the breacher stage area and then start these physical tasks. So we were divided into different squads or groups, essentially, of I think around 8 to 10 participants, and we were with that squad the whole time, running each stage with that squad. The squad that I was in consisted of all the social media influencers. Me, Ivan from kitbadger.com, Giga from Polinar Tactical, Yari from Varustaleka, he's the CEO of Varustaleka, Ian from Forgotten Weapons, Gun Jesus, Paige, aka Pageosity, Firepower United, Calvin, Blue Jean Operator, Administrative Results, Bloke on the Range, and Luke, aka Ballistic Aviation, he writes for TFB TV. So that was the squad. It was cool being with all those people that I've seen on YouTube. Cool to interact and kind of cheer everyone on. It was pretty dope. I think everyone but admin, Blue Jean Operator, and Paige participated in the breacher stuff. So some of the tasks that we had to do for breacher were, we had to dig a foxhole as deep as possible. We had to fill up sandbags and run with them back and forth to drop them off. We had to use this hammer, this sledgehammer, to knock this tire as far as we could in a certain period of time. We had to do push-ups. We had to do squats. We did this log sweat activity where we had to carry this log. We had to kind of transition as we walked. Also, we did a Bangalore push, and then we did a paratrooper burpee. I did really well in that one. Window entry, so we had to like kind of hop over this fence. I think I did all right in that one too. And then we did a mechanical entry where we had to take a sledgehammer and smack this kind of small 2x4 and try to break it in half. So before we look at the stages individually, I'll just say I think I did mediocre. I definitely didn't do as well as I hoped, but I also realized that this was the first time I've ever done any kind of shooting competition, so I'm not gonna be too hard on myself. I did really well on a couple stages, and I did really poorly on a couple stages. So the poor performances definitely brought my score down. I think I was like 115th out of 160 something. So I'm not afraid to say that I didn't do so great. It was the first time, but on one stage I got 10th in my division and 11th overall out of the 160 competitors. So I felt really good about that one stage, and I'll go over that stage. I'll go over the stages that I did poorly too. I think a lot of it just came down to getting penalties and stuff like that. Those really do hurt you. So there's no shame. I had a blast. But yeah, let's look at some of these stages. Before we look at this footage, I gotta say a big thank you to Ivan from kitbadger.com, the YouTube channel Kit Badger. If you're not familiar with it, I'd highly recommend it. Really cool dude, does a lot of really great content. I was watching him before I even really made this channel, so I wanna give a big shout out to Ivan for filming all this stuff for me. So stage one is the Casarda drill, and this one involved a APC that we jumped out of and ran with a kettlebell. It's about 52 pounds to these logs, and we take the kettlebell and then we throw the kettlebell as far as we can in between these logs. We go prone, fire a shot, hit the target, which is about 60, 70 yards away, and then keep going towards the target, and then you release the mag at the end of this course so that you only have one shot. Obviously, you fire the shot, that's a bonus shot, and then you run back to the APC with the kettlebell, and then you throw it up and you get back into the turret, and then the final bonus shot is one last shot that you have to make. So I did all right in this stage, actually. I think I got 45th overall and like 35th in my division for this, which I don't think is too bad. So I was lent the rifle I was using and the pistol I was using by Nate from Battle Gnome Solutions. I've done a review of Battle Gnome Solutions gear. They make awesome holsters for the AREX and a bunch of other pistols. Highly recommend them, from Slovenia. They're homies with Polinar Tactical. Really great guy. So he let me borrow his Pro Arms PAR Mark III. It's a piston-driven AR. It's very similar to a HK416. It's kind of like an HK416 clone. So piston gun. It was a 12.5-inch barrel, I believe. Really awesome gun. Never malfunctioned the whole time. Neither did the AREX. And I'm very familiar with the AREX pistol because I have one. It is my bedside pistol. I love that pistol. So it was very comfortable, very at home. And I think he had a magnifier with an EOTech, which was awesome. So during the first stage, I ran over, and immediately when I went prone, I almost blew the shit off of the sling, which was right in front of the muzzle. So thankfully they told me about that. So that cost me quite a bit of time, but I got some good throws in and didn't miss any of the shots, which was key to kind of getting the score that I did at the end. I didn't get any penalties, and I did it before the par time ended. So I did it within the allotted time, and I got the bonus shot at the end. So that's what got a 35th in division score, which I didn't think was too bad, especially for the very first stage. So that went pretty well. So the next stage was pretty crazy. It involved shooting from a moving vehicle, a Sisu, which is a really cool Finnish light armored vehicle. So I was able to get 2 shots, which were bonus shots, on the steel at the beginning, and then once you're rolling, it's really hard and there's dust coming out, and so I didn't get any shots after the first 2 shots. So then we get off the Sisu, and then we load new mag, and then we are not supposed to hit these mines. There's a bunch of mines, and so you have to be very careful not to hit the mines. And so we stepped on, if you step on the mines, which were clays, then you get big penalties, and your stage is done. It's over. So then after that, we shoot with the sniper rifle. I believe I missed this shot, which I don't know how I did, but it's a pretty small plate. Unfortunately, I missed it. But then I thought we had to take the mag out, so that kind of cost me some time, but went ahead and finished my shots on this stage. This wasn't as physically demanding. It's more like mentally, you just had to watch your step really carefully. So I missed a couple shots and just didn't do so hot. So didn't do great on that stage. The next stage was a backpack situation where I had to take 100 pounds on my back. So there's already around 35-ish, maybe 40 pounds with the plate carrier and the gear, and I was wearing no shirt, which was pretty stupid, but I wanted to stay in character for my shirtless PSR activities. If I had a shirt on, it wouldn't be a problem, but I was not wearing a shirt, and boy, it just was a lot. And we also were forced to sing Barbie, the Barbie girl song. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, by Aqua during this as an additional challenge for the influencers, which was tough, but I tried my best. The amount of weight on me, probably around 2/3 my body weight that I was carrying, almost my whole body weight basically, with all that stuff on with the plate carrier. So that was a little difficult. I think the biggest problem was there's a flashlight on the rifle, and there's one little notch there that I just couldn't get the rifle through to see the proper sight picture, and that really cost me because I just I couldn't see through the optic because of the way that the light was. So that was challenging. So I didn't do so hot with the backpack stage. Definitely would probably not use a light on this competition in the future because of that. And the next stage involved shooting both rifle and pistol, and it involved applying a tourniquet, which was fascinating. So they set this situation up where after you shoot the rifle, which I did pretty well on, you run and you put your rifle down and then you fix the tourniquet to someone's leg that's bleeding out, basically like real bad. Like it's squirting everywhere. It's kind of intense, and you know the actor did really well. I tried my best, and unfortunately the tourniquet, it got like twisted up, and I just didn't do a great job of fixing it, and I think I got penalized for that. It was not so good. So that cost me a lot of time. Went and grabbed the rifle, then switched to my pistol, and really did horrible on the dueling tree on the pistol. So that cost me quite a bit, and I wasn't able to finish the stage in time. So that's one of the stages I did pretty poorly on. So the last stage of day one was a pistol only stage, and it involved these kind of flashing light targets where they're kind of reactive, where you have to hit them if they're blinking green, and they would blink at random green. So you had to kind of go in between these three positions, these three targets, and then the middle position, to make it even harder, you had to stand and balance on 1 foot and shoot your shot with 1 foot off the ground on this piece of wood that was probably about 2 inches wide. So it was definitely a little challenging, but I did pretty well on it, even though I got penalized. So the way that it worked was if you left one blinking green and you didn't hit it, you would get penalized. So I, despite getting penalized quite a bit, still got 39th overall on this stage, and I think 35th in my division. So I was not disappointed at that. I thought that the way it was scored was interesting because some of them, the targets wouldn't blink at all and you'd just be sitting there waiting, and then other times all three would light up and you'd have to shoot three as fast as possible and kind of run around. But that's just the way it is. I'm sure it's the way it was for everyone, so it was definitely fair. But I did all right, and I did it in decent time, so I felt pretty good about that. A little side note, during this competition, boy, did I have the worst diarrhea I've ever had in my life. And it wasn't because of the food or anything. I think I had some kind of a little virus going on, but I was shitting. Like probably, I think it was like around 8 to 10 times during the day. Could not trust a single fart the entire 2 days. I'd go to breacher, then I'd go take a shit and go to the stage and repeat. It was really shoot, shit, repeat. Yeah, SSR for sure. Sorry if that was too much information, but day two, first stage, this was one of the most physical ones. I got really frustrated at myself because I didn't complete one of the tasks, and that was climbing up this rope. And I kind of realized after I did it no problem without gloves. Without gloves, I was able to get right up it no problem. But with the gloves, I was slipping and I didn't get up it, so that gave me a penalty. And then we had to shoot through this little box, and there was just so much dust flying up. We had to shoot this spinner, and I had really a lot of issues with that. I did so poorly on this stage, so this was one of my low points, but you know what? It is what it is. Giga from Polar Tactical absolutely fucking wrecked this stage. Giga won the entire competition, so shouts out to Giga for making everyone look pretty fucking bad. Thanks, bro. Yeah, he was shredding the entire competition, so it was cool to watch him do his thing. The next stage involved taking sandbags and throwing them back into the sisu and going back and forth, going prone. I think I did okay on this stage. Man, this was probably one of the more physical stages. You just try to get as many hits as possible, and that contributes to your score, how many hits you do in the time that they allotted. So I thought I did okay. I was pretty tired. I put the rifle down a couple times when I shouldn't have, and should have taken a shot, so that messed with my score a little bit. I think my overall score was 70 out of 160 or whatever, so it was about middle of the pack. Felt like I could have done a lot better on it. The shooting wasn't a problem, but it's challenging. And then throwing the duffel bags in there, being a shorter dude, it's a little harder to get that stuff up there, but no excuses. I could have done better, but definitely got to train with those duffel bags next time. The next stage involved crawling under this barbed wire, and because I'm a smaller dude and I can shuffle in pretty quick side to side motion, I think it turned out pretty well for me. I think I got 17th overall on this stage, so I felt pretty good about it. It was going back and forth, shooting under this barricade and then going under the barbed wire and going back and forth. I think it was just 3 times. Did it pretty fast, felt pretty good. I think I got like 89 seconds or something like that. This was a really fun stage for me. I was kind of surprised that the barbed wire was so high, but people were still getting caught up in it. So this is when I feel like I am glad that I'm small. because it worked out in my favor for this stage. Stage 9, this was a frustrating stage. So this was a blind stage, they call it, where you go in and you don't really know kind of everything about it, and they gave very clear instructions, but I mistook the instructions and I was the very first person to go, so that didn't help at all. But no excuses, I just misinterpreted what was supposed to happen. I don't have any footage from this, unfortunately. Well, actually, fortunately, because I did so horrible. But I did film Ivan Kit Badger, and this is the #1 score for this stage. So he got first overall in this stage. Ivan, I think, placed top 10. He did an awesome job the whole competition. He's a beast. But I'm gonna let you check this out because he fucking shredded. So you had to go carry these weights and then look at this number and series of characters. It was like numbers and letters. You had to remember those numbers and letters, hit this pistol spinner, then move to the stage, and there was like this fire that was flying out. And these guys that do like explosives and stuff, which we later on met in the trip, they had this car that was shooting flames out of the car, and it was so sick. It was crazy. I mean, this is like really cool stage. I wish I would have done better on it, but this is just, Ivan was just shredding it, dude. There's the flames. Ivan picks out these 2 characters, and you have to shoot, go back and forth, shoot 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you're gonna go back and then hit the pistol spinner again. And then you go to this kind of third bay, and then you have to kind of go back and forth and shoot these targets again. It's definitely a cool test of like kind of not just physical endurance, but mental, aptitude, and just knowing which targets to shoot. That was a pretty badass stage. I wish I would have done a little bit better, but man, Ivan fucking killed it. The very last stage was my very best stage, which I felt good ending on a good note. It also was just the pistol stage, and it involved lateral movement and having to hit these targets 13 times. So you basically have a maximum of, I think it was 23 allotted rounds, and if you shot more than that, then you got a penalty. I think I only missed 1 shot, but what you had to do was go shoot the outside target, come to the inside target, put your pistol on the table, and then throw a sandbag over this barrier, and then crawl under the barrier. Well, it's more like dip under the barrier. Shoot outside, then go back inside and repeat the process. And I thought I did pretty well. I probably could have gone a little bit faster. I had a couple ones where I just hesitated because you just mentally have to remember, okay, outside, inside, outside, inside. And I was very pleased with this stage. I think I got 13th overall, and I think I got 9th in the division, 13th overall. So I placed top 10 in the division on this stage, which I felt pretty good about and felt happy with this. Like I said, it's the very first time I'm ever doing this, and I felt like, damn, okay, this is a good way to end the competition, even though I didn't do so hot on the stage 9. So yeah, once again, thanks to Ivan for filming it for me. So those were all the stages in the competition. It was super fun experience. I would do it again 10 times over, even with the diarrhea. It just built character, and I learned the lesson that you just definitely sometimes can't trust a fart. But I didn't evacuate in my pants, thankfully, during the competition or elsewhere, really. I mean, I just kind of made sure I was heading to the toilet frequently. If you're interested in doing Finnish Brutality, I would highly, highly recommend it. And if you're wondering like, oh man, this is going to be really hard to import guns to Finland, it's really not that hard. There's a video that Ian did, Forgotten Weapons Ian did, on how to ship your rifle over, or pistol, or both over for competitions like this. Poland Art Tactical also does a competition like this. It's called Finnish Brutality. I will be going to the next one next year when that happens, and I would definitely love to return to do Finnish Brutality 2024, because this was an absolutely incredible experience and kind of opened my whole mind towards this fun activity of doing competition shooting. And it incorporates, kind of this more like combat military training aspect too. I have never been in the military, and I don't know what that's like, so I'm not going to try to say that it's comparable to any kind of boot camp or anything like that, which I'm sure it's not, but it definitely incorporates quite a bit of physical task while under stress and shooting, which I think is a good thing to do. And it's one thing to go train and shoot on the flat range standing still, but it's another thing to be running around and under, time and feeling some kind of urgency and stress. So I think it's an awesome activity to do. So after Finnish Brutality, we spent the week hanging out in Helsinki, going to the sauna, doing a lot of fun activities, one of which was going to visit the demolition guys, the guys that did the pyrotechnics at that stage 9. They showed us some of their explosives. They have like a permit to do all this stuff. Paige drew a outline of this KAK and blew it up, and now it's a piece of art. You gotta love it.
3, 2, 1!
Brutality also had their 20th anniversary party, which was awesome, and a lot of us attended that, and that was a great event. And I got to meet some fans and see the celebration of their 20 years being around and being a badass outdoors company. So I want to thank Jenny and Yari and all of the Brutality homies that were amazing hosts and did an amazing event. And I'm just super stoked to be a part of it, and hopefully I can come next year because it was a blast. I'll see you guys next year. All right, that's the video. Giant KAK that we blew out